Welcome to Jazzy's Funky Views, and today I'm going to be talking about, do we have absolute freedom of speech in this country? I think first off, people need to ask themselves, do we have absolute freedom in this country? Just freedom of everything? I think not. Because if we did, there would be anarchy and no recourse or adverse consequences to anyone. And it would be a mess. Because at the end of the day, there are laws in this country that prevent us from causing anybody else harm. Whether the laws fit right at the moment and whether things work at the moment is another matter, but I'm not here to discuss that. But if there was absolute freedom of anything, of everything, we would have anarchy. And we can't have that. So we don't have that. Yeah. So when it comes to free speech, and I'm talking about absolute free speech, could we say something in public that is outwardly racist, sexist, or against someone who is disabled without any adverse consequences? No. If the answer is no, then we don't have absolute freedom of speech, and neither should we. Because to say something that is outwardly against, something that, I don't know, that people can't really help, where, what colour their skin is, what their, what gender they were born into. For somebody else to say something horrible about them just because of something that came to them, if they've got a disability they were born with. Again, it's something people just can't help. That it's just there, it's part of them. And so other people should respect that and treat people accordingly. And to say something derogatory and horrible about something that a person can't help, then, as far as I'm concerned, you should get in trouble for that. because what can anybody do about those things? Now, with disability, sometimes you can get disabilities later on in life that may be caused by things like obesity or other things that maybe they've attributed to themselves. Like, say, if somebody may have certain disabilities because of maybe a sport they've done, or whatever, like boxing can cause, and people didn't know about it back in that day, and things like wrestling, but they could have attributed it to do with that. Or it could be that people may have certain disabilities because of, as I say, like obesity. You could say they've done that to themselves because they've eaten too much or whatever, not exercised enough, or, you could say all of these things, but if you really go back to the core of why they may well be obese in the first place, you might find that there were underlying factors there. You know what I mean? Like trauma in their life growing up. They could have had, like say for me, for instance, I'm autistic, but I was diagnosed late in life. If I was diagnosed earlier, maybe I might not be obese because I would have had the right support at the right time when I was younger. So you see, there could have been underlying features as to why. But then you can have disabilities because you might not, you could get like brittle bone disease if you're anorexic and you haven't eaten enough and things like this. But again, it's always usually down to something that's happened to them before when they were younger. Trauma, if they had a horrible family, or even people that were close to, like school people, friends, and, well, I say friends, school colleagues, if you like, that were like there and caused them to feel really bad about themselves, and so they use food as a weapon to themselves or whatever, and it just became, it escalated to something worse. But you can't just say, well, it's their own fault because they've done, and also as well, drug abuse and alcohol problems. But again, all those sorts of things could have happened because of trauma that's happened to them before. So it isn't always necessarily something that you can say is completely your own fault. It's things that's happened to you that cause problems later on. And to be horrible to those people when you don't know their life, you don't know. I think they shouldn't be. That shouldn't be got away with. That it needs to be that you don't. It's not good for them, but that's meaning outwardly nasty to somebody because of that issue or because of something that's there for them. But I would say that constructive criticism about something that that people have asked for and say, what do you think I could do about this? And you give constructive criticism to help that person, then that may well be okay. But it's just that by being nasty for something they can't help and they haven't asked for that, then it's not good, and it shouldn't be there. And that's my funky views of the day. I'll see you later.